Hola, mi gente, and welcome to Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. This short form podcast features the stories of Latinos from our community, from engineers, business owners, students, and so much more. Each episode will give you a quick boost of motivation and encouragement before starting your day. I'm your host, Sonia Camacho. Thank you for being here. Now let's get into today's episode. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. Today I have a very inspiring guest, Christina Rodriguez. She's a future doctora in education, and along her education journey, she founded Latinas with Masters. Latinas with Masters is an online platform and presence that is used to inspire, empower, and educate nuestra comunidad y futuro generación. Latinas with Masters shares resources and graduate advising services. They also have an online social media presence where they highlight Latinas who have pursued higher education. And with that, I will hand it over to Christina. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, hi, Sonia. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to being in your space and sharing my story, and you having also an amazing platform that's very inspiring, for our future generation leaders. And so I was born and raised in San Francisco. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter of immigrants. My parents are from Nicaragua, and I'm first generation born here in San Francisco, California. And I am a middle child. I have an older brother and a younger sister, and I have two kids. I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, and a very spoiled chihuahua named Frijol. Like, he, honestly, he like really follows me around the house. It's like, you know, very clingy. And so, I started I grew up in San Francisco, and then I moved to a predominantly white neighborhood in Cupertino, California, which is by the Apple campus. So think like in the heart of Silicon Valley. And after that, I ended up moving to Mountain View. And when I moved to Mountain View, I ended up being transferred to a continuation school due to a mishap on my credits. And it actually ended up being, the best thing that ever happened to me, because even though there's like this negative perception or a narrative of alternative schools and continuation schools, I ended up getting $5,000 worth of scholarships that allowed me to go into a community college. But the downside of that is, like, even if I wanted to go to a 4-year university, I couldn't, because I didn't take the ACTs, I didn't take the SATs, right? I didn't have the status to just, apply to a 4-year. So I had to go to community college. So I went to Foothill College in Los Altos. And then I ended up moving back to San Francisco, and I finished my community college credits at City College of San Francisco, where I was able to transfer to San Francisco State University. And I chose Latino studies as my major because I wanted to be an immigration lawyer at the time. And so, um, I just wanted to learn more about the Latino culture. And it was just so inspiring just to hear, you know, all walks of life, right? From El Salvador to Guatemala to Bolivia to Argentina. Like, I was just so in love with our heritage and our culture. And then when I had an opportunity to go back to get my master's, and I got my master's in business administration with an emphasis in marketing. And I was working in the housing industry, and I was able to apply my master's program and my experience through the housing market as a marketer. But I knew that I wanted to do something more. I knew that, like, this wasn't it for me. And so I went back to apply to graduate school for my doctorate degree. And now I'm a doctoral student at Mills College in Oakland, here in California, um, with an emphasis in education. And so there's a lot of things that I didn't know that were swept under the rug, that, a narrative that was conditioned for me to believe when it came to an education, especially as a Latina, especially as a first generation. And so that is the story that I'm trying to tell, like, that is something that I'm trying to instill in my kids, and just be a support system. We are all navigating spaces that are not built for us, whether that be academia, housing, healthcare, the list can go on and on. But there are people like me out there that are, you know, creating counter spaces and counter storytelling, like the real story. And that's the mission. That's what I'm here for, to continue those narratives. And it's our narrative, our truths, our validation.
Thank you for the short intro. So now I want to get into what was that moment that made you decide to start Latinas with Masters? Because I am a big believer of representation matters. You cannot be what you cannot see. So I think it's amazing that we have other creators who create these platforms that really want to do more for the community.
Well, I was thinking about when I got admitted to my program. I specifically picked Mills College. It's a very social justice focused community in Oakland. I was looking at the professors, it was faculty of color, and I knew I was moving in that direction with intention. But I started thinking about like what I didn't have during graduate school, and that was representation. I didn't have a Latino or Latina professor. I was the only Latina for the majority of my cohort. And so I started thinking about like, okay, what did I not have and what can I bring to the table right now for the current graduate students, for the upcoming graduate students. And so I created Latinas with Masters because I wanted to share my journey, going through my master's program, but then also sharing my doctoral journey. And I had feelings of imposter syndrome for the fact that I was the only Latina. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, is it really that hard to get into graduate school? Like, where are you guys at? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm constantly just questioning myself. But who was I going to talk to about that? And I was also disappointed that business school doesn't teach you how to show up. And it's not that they're teaching me, but we're not talking about the spaces in which we show up as Latinas in business. And so then the microaggressions, the micro assaults, all those things that are part of business practices, unfortunately, in the corporate world. And so there was a lot there to unpack, Sonia, as you can see. And so, but again, I created Latinos with Masters because I wanted to share and create awareness on how to get into graduate school. What does that look like when you're an undergrad? What does that look like if you want to start thinking about it in high school? I mean, now I'm being asked to go talk to middle school. I even went to go talk to my daughter's school, and she's only in third grade. So I definitely feel that there's a lot of people like me and you and first gen and second gens that are looking at this and beyond generations and looking at this and saying, finally, like, where were you during graduate school? Or, I am now an undergrad and I'm thinking about getting my master's program. So thank you so much for sharing it. And then I have another side that are like, I want to help, I want to contribute. What can I do to share your story or even share my story? And and honestly, like the feedback and the support just goes on and on and on, because I'm not only sharing my narrative, I'm sharing your narrative, I'm sharing his narrative, I'm sharing their narrative. Like, everybody has a narrative, everybody has a truth. And that is what Latinas with Masters is about. It's an inclusive space so we can all share.
I'm really interested in hearing what kind of feedback you've gotten since you started Latinas with Masters and how the brand is growing, how it inspires you to keep going, and what are some goals and future things that we can expect from you guys?
Oh man, I feel like I can go forever on the feedback, girl. It's just so amazing. And it's not really like tooting my own horn. It's like really like I created this account just to be an Instagram account, and then it just organically became more. Like, people wanted to hear more. People were giving ideas more. People were like, "Why don't you do this?" Or, "Hey, I work in this section. Can we talk about this?" Or, "We're not talking about this." Or, "What about foster care youth? We don't talk about foster care." And so I was like, "Well, let's talk about foster care. Let's talk about graduating from an alternative school. It's talking about you being in prison and now getting your master's degree. Like, everything is possible. Like, here I am graduating from a continuation school, and I'm going to have the same education as somebody that graduated from Stanford with a doctorate degree. It's the same thing. Like, the non-traditional journey that academia likes to label, it doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, you can still get your doctorate degree. You can still get your master's degree. And so, and let's find an equitable pathway for you to do that. And so, a lot of the feedback that I get is, I feel seen, I feel heard, I feel validated. Um, you inspire me. Oh, I resonate with someone that you posted, and I have a shared, story as him and her. Um, And it's just honestly, it's just beyond what I would ever imagine, Sonia, honestly, like, and that's why I want to take Latinas with Matches to the next level, because I know it's just not an Instagram account, like, yes, you see my face and I am the brand, but I'm also not the brand, like Latinas with Masters is inclusive, it's Latinx, it's Afro Latinos, it's Asian Latinos, it's everything, honestly. And so the next level for me is to be more, definitely more intentional. And I say that intentional in a way where, like, being more fine-tuned to specific themes, or stories that we're not hearing, and but then also, like, make it be seen on TV or on the radio, or why can't we see it in a movie form? Why can't we see it in a series? Like, that is the level that I want to take it. Like, there's people that inspire me all the time. Issa Rae inspires me, from Insecure, creator of Insecure. But then also, like, Eva Longoria inspires me, and America Ferrera, right? But then I'm also like old school, where I used to watch El Show de Christina. Like, I'm very like, everything inspires me as to, like, spaces and people that I would see that, oh, she looks like me. Oh, like, oh, my parents were also divorced. Oh, this also happened to me, And that is how I want to connect with people. Like, I want to connect with everyone globally. Um, I've had people reach out to me wanting to, expand Latinas with Masters internationally. I've always thought about that. Now people are reaching out to me like, "Hey, I can help you get there." And I'm like, "Let's do it." Like, I'm not sleeping on it. I am not sleeping on it, Sonia. And so, I always say that Latinas with Masters is anything you want it to be and everything you need it to be. Like, I'm not a one box fits all. Like, and that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. That's the beauty of you creating your own space, like, just like you creating your space. You're not following a mold, or a blueprint or anything. Like, yeah, you have inspiration here and there, but if you want to talk to someone, you can. If you don't want to talk to someone, you don't have to. And that's fine, but you get to decide, the message, the brand, the narrative, on who you want to bring on in your space, And so I thank you for spaces, such as yours, because we need more of these, like, I focus on academia, yes, but I do, there's other ideas that I have that I will be expanding, but I'm happy to share the academic side, the first gen side, the motherhood side in any space, like, we don't always have to talk about education, but we are navigating a space where, unfortunately, some people value education where you need that title to be sitting at that table. And so I hope to be that person, to be sitting at that table, buying a table, having you sit at that table, like, I'm not here to conform. I'm here to, yes, let me get through the door, but let me also tell you all these things that are not serving us as a community. And so I know that was very long-winded, but that's what it is. Like, once I get going, I start thinking of all these things because there's so much work that needs to be done.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think you captured everything. And I can really see Latinas with Masters going so far. I mean, I think you guys are already huge in my mind. Like, so I cannot wait to see what is in store next. That is all the time that we have today. But thank you so much, Christina, for coming on today. I will have all of her socials linked on this episode so that you guys can find her and connect with her. And definitely go support Latinas at Masters. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Follow the podcast on all social platforms at Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Want to be featured in a future episode? Email cuéntame.sonia@gmail.com. Thank you to our equipment sponsor, Shure.